Imagine living in a world where intelligence isn't a gift, but a burden. Where the people who can see beyond the surface of reality are often the ones condemned to solitude. And somehow, those who drift through life without much reflection seem to be the ones thriving. Ever wondered why that happens? Why deep thinkers so often wrestle with life, while the indifferent and the superficial just move along, seemingly untouched? It makes you wonder, could it be that ignorance, not intelligence, is the real secret to happiness? Today, we're diving into one of the most unsettling ideas in philosophy, the thought that intelligence might not be a blessing at all, but a curse. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of history's most famous pessimists, believed that the more a person truly understands life, the more they suffer. He argued that intelligence isolates people, makes them dissatisfied, and pushes them toward existential despair. Meanwhile, ignorance acts like a kind of shield, protecting people from the harsher truths of existence. But what if everything we've been taught about intelligence and success is wrong? What if the people who know less are actually the ones who live better?
Schopenhauer was never afraid of harsh truths. In fact, he built his philosophy around them. He saw life as being driven by a blind, relentless force he called the will, an endless cycle of desire and suffering that no level of intellect can fully escape. And according to him, the more intelligent you are, the more you become aware of life's built-in futility. You start to see through the illusions that comfort others, the belief that success guarantees fulfillment, that love will always last, that material achievements can provide meaning. To the deeply intelligent person, these things often reveal themselves as empty pursuits, leaving behind a deep sense of disillusionment. Think about it for a second. Have you ever felt like you just can't connect with the people around you because they seem perfectly content with things you find shallow or meaningless? Have you ever caught yourself questioning why so many people chase status, wealth, and approval, only to end up just as dissatisfied as before? If that's you, you're not alone. Schopenhauer would say that you've experienced what he called the curse of intelligence. According to him, intelligence comes with a heightened sensitivity to pain. The deeper you think, the more you see the suffering that runs underneath everyday life. Meanwhile, those who don't think as deeply can still enjoy life's simple pleasures without constantly questioning their significance. The problem for the highly intelligent is that they're often haunted by the realization that those pleasures are temporary, that happiness doesn't last, and that suffering is unavoidable.
This can lead to a kind of social isolation. It's not that intelligent people can't be around others, it's that they often can't fully engage in the same distractions that make life bearable for everyone else. On the other hand, people with less awareness tend to be more social, more optimistic, and more easily entertained. They find joy in things that a highly reflective mind might dismiss as trivial. They don't dwell on life's meaning or question the structures that keep society running. In a way, their ignorance acts as armor, allowing them to live with a lightness that the deeply intelligent can rarely match. And here's where the questions get uncomfortable. If ignorance really is a source of happiness, should we actually aim to know less? Would it be better to avoid the heavier truths of life just to feel joy more easily? And if intelligence mostly leads to suffering, does it even have real value? These questions go against a lot of what society teaches us. We're told that intelligence is always a good thing, that it drives progress, innovation, and greatness. But Schopenhauer saw intelligence as a double-edged sword. It opens your eyes, but it also makes it impossible to unsee the absurdity of human existence. And yet, despite the suffering, Deep thinkers can't seem to stop searching for meaning, even when they suspect they'll never truly find it. So why exactly does intelligence lead to this sense of dissatisfaction? And why do people who think deeply so often feel alienated from the world around them? In the next section, we'll dig into the psychological and philosophical reasons why intelligence and suffering are so closely linked, and why awareness can sometimes be the very thing that keeps you from feeling at peace.
Arthur Schopenhauer believed that the suffering of highly intelligent people comes from one thing: their heightened awareness of reality. Most people go through life guided by instinct, tradition, and the pursuit of simple pleasures. But the intelligent mind? It can't help but dig deeper. It notices the hidden structures behind everything, and in doing so, it often stumbles upon a painful truth. Much of what we chase, success, love, and happiness, is built on illusions that will never last. So why does intelligence make life harder? It comes down to how the human mind processes the world. The more intelligent someone is, the more they analyze, question, and search for truth. And the problem with truth is, it doesn't always match our expectations. That constant search often leads to disillusionment because reality rarely lives up to the stories we've been told. History is full of examples. Many great writers, philosophers, and artists, people like Franz Kafka or Friedrich Nietzsche, wrestled with deep dissatisfaction, a sense of being trapped in an endless loop of desire and disappointment. Schopenhauer would say this is inevitable. Intelligence magnifies suffering because it sharpens our sensitivity to pain. And it's not just physical pain. An average person might face hardship, move on quickly, and distract themselves with entertainment, routine, or social gatherings. But the deep thinker? They replay moments in their head. They pick apart every emotion. They ask themselves what it all means. And in doing so, they make the suffering feel heavier, more personal, and sometimes endless. This also explains why loneliness is such a common theme among intelligent people. They can see through the superficiality of most social interactions, and they crave connections with real depth. But here's the catch: those deeper connections aren't easy to find. Their thoughts and insights aren't always understood or even appreciated by the majority.
So conversations about gossip, small talk, or social status can feel empty. If you're someone who spends time contemplating the nature of existence itself, it's hard to find joy in surface-level chatter. And over time, that disconnect can make you feel like you're standing just outside the circle of human connection, watching, but never quite belonging. Schopenhauer also talked about boredom as a uniquely human problem, one that hits intelligent people the hardest. Animals live by instinct. They're satisfied when their basic needs are met. But humans? We've got self-awareness, and that self-awareness can make us restless. For those with less intellectual curiosity, life's simple pleasures are enough. A TV show, a hobby, a weekend trip, they can find happiness in these without overthinking. But for someone with greater intellect, the same experiences can quickly feel repetitive or shallow. They're searching for stimulation, purpose, meaning, and the world doesn't always deliver. That's why so many great thinkers turn to art, music, and philosophy, not just as hobbies, but as lifelines. These pursuits can offer a temporary escape from the weight of existence. For a while, you can lose yourself in a symphony, a painting, or a profound idea. But as Schopenhauer pointed out, that relief never lasts. The emptiness eventually seeps back in, which leads to one of his most controversial ideas, that stupidity can act as a kind of protection. He didn't mean complete ignorance, more like a lack of deep reflection on life's biggest questions. People who don't ask those questions can live without the burden of realizing how absurd life can be. They follow social norms without tearing them apart in their minds. They chase pleasures without questioning why. They find happiness in distractions that the highly intelligent often reject as meaningless.
So, does that mean ignorance really is bliss? Or is it just a comfortable illusion that stops people from facing reality? And if intelligence so often leads to suffering, are we doomed to either be miserable or unaware? In the next section, we'll explore whether it's possible to reconcile deep thought with inner peace, and if there's a way to live as an intelligent person without being crushed by the weight of what you know. If intelligence really does bring suffering, and ignorance offers a kind of protection from life's harsh realities, then what's the way forward? Do we have to choose between knowledge and happiness, between awareness and peace? Or is there a way to live with both? Schopenhauer's outlook might sound grim, but he didn't believe all hope was lost. He thought there were ways for intelligent people to manage the burden without having to give up their intelligence. One of his core ideas was detachment. He believed that most human suffering comes from our attachments, our desires, our expectations, and our constant drive to finally feel fulfilled. Intelligent people suffer more because they can see through the illusions, but still get trapped by them. They know love, success, and recognition can be fleeting, yet part of them still hopes those things will deliver lasting happiness. The only way to lessen that suffering, Schopenhauer argued, is to loosen our grip on those pursuits. Stop expecting happiness to come from external achievements. Accept that most desires are temporary, and real peace has to come from within. This overlaps with a lot of Eastern philosophy, especially Buddhism, which teaches that desire is the root of suffering. If intelligence makes us more aware of life's futility, then the solution isn't to shut down our minds, it's to change how we relate to desire itself. Instead of chasing fulfillment through material or social success, Schopenhauer encouraged what he called aesthetic contemplation. That means stepping outside the cycle of wanting and needing by immersing yourself in things like art, music, or philosophy. When you're truly absorbed in a great piece of music or a painting, you're no longer wrapped up in personal wants. You're just experiencing something pure. In those moments, intelligence stops being a burden and becomes a doorway. It lets you access beauty and meaning that go beyond day-to-day survival. But there's a catch. Those moments never last forever. Eventually, you have to come back to reality. That's why Schopenhauer also emphasized acceptance. Rather than resisting the nature of life or cursing intelligence for making you see too much, accept that suffering isn't a personal flaw, it's a universal part of existence. To see clearly isn't to be cursed, it's to be given the chance to navigate life with wisdom. This doesn't mean giving in to despair. It means moving through life with a quiet understanding. Yes, suffering is inevitable, but it's also something that connects all humans. And here's the deeper twist. What if intelligence isn't the end of the journey, but the start of a new one? Schopenhauer hinted that true liberation might come when we stop seeing intelligence as a curse and start seeing it as a tool to detach from illusions, to focus on understanding rather than chasing empty victories. Most people are caught in the endless pursuit of pleasure, power, and approval. But the intelligent have the ability to step out of that loop. They can see what's real, and if they can accept it without bitterness, they can move through life with a kind of freedom most people never touch. This freedom isn't the same as conventional happiness. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about gaining something deeper, wisdom.
And wisdom isn't dependent on circumstances. It doesn't vanish when desires go unmet. It's steady. It's there when everything else changes. So, is intelligence a curse or a path to something greater? Schopenhauer might say, it depends on what you do with it. If you chase the same illusions as everyone else, intelligence will feel like a heavy weight. But if you use it to let go of those illusions, it can set you free. Maybe that's the real paradox. The people who see life the clearest might hurt more, but they're also the only ones with the chance to rise above that hurt. In the end, the burden of intelligence might not be punishment at all. It might be a responsibility. And if we embrace it, it could lead us somewhere beyond both suffering and happiness itself.